In a recent series of videos, we discussed the moral philosophies of 9 prominent clone officers, analyzing their outlooks on authority, military hierarchy, loyalty to the chain of command, and more. You all seem to enjoy those videos a lot, so here's our series finale. In the interests of the visual learners in the audience and for a quick bit of fun, we're going to be compiling all the moral traits we examined in our clone heroes and visualizing them. Strap yourselves in, because today we're going to find out where these clones sat on the political compass.
Attention, Sergeant on deck!
Before we get into things, we'd like to preemptively answer 3 questions. Yes, we know that the political compass oversimplifies the nuance of politics and isn't a good model for political analysis. Yes, we know that we're being cringe by making this, and no, we don't care. This is all for fun, don't take it too seriously. For the uninitiated, the political compass maps political ideologies according to 2 axes. An economic axis, which goes from left to right, and a social axis, which goes from authoritarian to libertarian. It's frequently used to simplify and summarize the political views of prominent individuals and plot them relative to each other. It's not good political science, but it can be good fun. So, without further ado, here's where the 9 clones we've discussed the moral ideologies of would end up on the political compass. That's right, their political views were pretty much indistinguishable. They were all indoctrinated to have the same politics, after all. So we hope you enjoyed this video, and we hope to see you all again next week. Just kidding, we're only getting started here. While the clones might have seemed indistinguishable, politically speaking, they had wildly distinct personal ideologies, as we've discussed in our prior videos. Therefore, we've come up with our own slightly modified compass to serve our purposes today. As you can see, we're sticking to the traditional political compass layout, but we've renamed the axes. The economic left and right have been replaced with a scale of attitudes toward authority ranging from openly rebellious to more rigid and legalist. Instead of authoritarianism and libertarianism, we've got a scale of how strictly our commanders treated their subordinates, ranging from a strict attitude to a relaxed one. Lastly, before we begin, let's quickly go through the roster. In order, we're going to be discussing Commander Gree, Commander Cody, Commander Bacara, Captain Rex, Commander Faie, Commander Neyo, Commander Bly, Commander Wolffe, and Commander Fox. Without any further ado, let the games begin. Let's start with Gree. As you may recall, Commander Gree valued loyalty first and foremost. He himself was fiercely loyal to his superiors, and he prized the loyalty of others highly, considering betrayal to be unforgivable. But Gree wasn't all that extreme in either respect. He was loyal to the Republic, but held no illusion that its authority was absolute. Similarly, he expected loyalty from his troops, but he wasn't too strict in how he managed his command. Thus, we've plotted him fairly close to the center. If that seems a bit too moderate to you, keep in mind that we do have some real nutcases coming up. Next up, Commander Cody. As far as authority went, Cody was largely apathetic. He almost always followed his orders, but not with any particular zeal and not out of any sort of legalistic sentiment. He was known as being very by the book and strict as a commander, but not to the extent that many other clones were. He's close to the center on the rebel legalist axis, but he was also stricter than Gree. Commander Bacara is next. In our first video on this series, we described Bacara as a staunch legalist first and foremost. He believed that legality and morality were indistinguishable and saw himself as a lawman. He was also incredibly strict, known for micromanaging his troops on a level not seen in any other clone unit. Nothing short of perfection was acceptable to Bacara. With that in mind, we think it's fair to stick him all the way in the top right corner. Captain Rex was about as different from Bacara as a clone could get. He was the poster child for rebellious clones, known for his willingness to buck the chain of command entirely if he felt it necessary. He was also infamously relaxed in his command of the 501st Legion, allowing his men to do their own thing so long as they didn't inhibit the operation of the unit. He was one of the most independent regs of his time, so we're gonna plot him all the way in the bottom left. Commander Faie was a lot like Commander Bacara, except he was much less fatalistic. He was more by the book than most droids, and he followed his orders to the letter, no matter what they were. He was even more legalist than Bacara, in our opinion, if only slightly, though he was also a bit less strict. His attitude was considerably different than Bacara's. Faie was more of an NPC type, while Bacara was just a hard ass. At the end of the day though, their philosophies were pretty close, so we've plotted Faie pretty much right beneath Bacara on the compass. Like Commander Cody, Commander Neyo was known for his apathy when it came to authority. He too followed his orders, though without any particular enthusiasm. Neyo had a rather dark outlook on the world around him, all things considered, and he was known to be somewhat fatalistic. He wasn't all that strict however, especially when compared to someone like Cody. We've plotted him as being in the center on the rebel legalist axis, but also a good bit relaxed. Commander Bly was a very mission-oriented clone. His biggest concern was making sure his record had an unbroken string of successful missions, and he wasn't all that interested in much else. He was loyal to his superiors and followed his orders with a bit more zeal than normal, but he also took a somewhat relaxed attitude toward command. Bly was willing to be flexible with regulations if it meant a successful mission. We've plotted him between Neyo and Gree, close to the center and in the bottom right quadrant. Commander Wolffe, a fan favorite character, was another clone that's frequently touted as a rebellious clone by his fans. He wasn't as rebellious as Rex by any stretch, but he had a significant independent streak. Like Bly, he was a very mission-oriented person, but unlike Bly, this didn't manifest as a legalist approach to orders and the chain of command. Quite the opposite in fact. Unlike Rex, Wolffe was willing to tolerate superiors he disagreed with or distrusted, but he wasn't above going over their heads or pressuring them to make decisions he thought were better. Wolffe was also much more strict in his command than Rex, though he was also more relaxed than the average clone commander. Like Rex, we've put him in the bottom left, though there's much more distance between Wolffe and Rex than you might expect. Lastly, we have Commander Fox. Fox was by the book and had a rather strict approach to command. Like Bacara and Faie, he was a stalwart legalist, and though he wasn't as extreme in his legalism as the other two were, he was still pretty far out there. Under his command, the Coruscant Guard became the fist of the Republic police state, willing to repress and persecute separatist sympathizers and innocent non-humans alike. We've plotted him as being pretty far to the right and stricter than the average. Well, that's all of them. We hope you enjoyed this series and this grand finale in particular. But what do you think? Would you like to see us take a crack at plotting Star Wars factions on an actual political compass? Feel free to post your thoughts in the comment section below. And as always guys, thank you so much for watching and I hope to see you in the next video.